Welcome, I am Flatcap Callum and this is my Cheltenham Festival ante-post video number 2. This one is focusing all on the novice division. So novice hurdles, novice chases, I'll also be including the bumper in there. So video 1, if you've watched it, was the championship races and extras in terms of mares chase, mares hurdle, that kind of stuff. So that's the top class races for more experienced horses. This edition is all about the novice races, and then the handicap edition is video 3 that will come out in a few weeks' time. For those of you waiting, I do apologise. I was originally said this video was going to come out a few days earlier than it has done. Technology has slightly got in my way, but I'm here producing it for you right now. So hopefully the hours of graft of research that have got into it are worth it. If you're unfamiliar with me and unfamiliar with what I'm about, I'm looking for value in the market. So this video is not half an hour of me having an argument with myself about whether it's John Bon or El Fabio, which one shall I choose. I'm only looking at horses really that have got, I believe, value in them. So I think they are better than the odds suggest, or I think that when you get to Cheltenham Festival, they're actually going to be shorter odds. So it's a tricky thing to navigate in the novice division, because you've got inexperienced horses over whatever obstacles it is. So if they're running over hurdles, they're very inexperienced full stop often, unless they've come from a flat background, but still it's hard to kind of look through form. So you're looking a lot at potential. If you're looking at novice chases, they've normally run once, twice, 3 times over chases usually. So you might have a bit of hurdle form to go with, and you look at breeding, but you are looking at potential as well as what they've done. So it can be a little bit of a minefield. I did all right last year on some of the novice division stuff. Long pressing was absolutely the highlight, as mentioned on the other video. But there was a few other bits and bobs in there. Edwardstone winning the Arkle. What else did I have? Bardenstone Lad was placed in the Albert Bartlett. So what we're going to do for the video, I'm going to do exactly the same as video 1 if you've watched it. I'm going to go through each race. There's 10 races I'm going to cover in total. I'm going to give you a few thoughts, a few musings. I'm going to tell you who I think the most likely winner is. And then at the end is the important bit. So I know there'll be a bunch of people skipping to the end already. The end is where I come to my conclusions. And for that one, for this video, I'm going to be putting up my best win bets in the novice division, so where I think there's value in them, so not the most likely winners. These aren't festival bankers, if that's what you're looking for. And then my best each way prices. All of what I'm quoting is ante-post. So again, quick recap, if you're less familiar, ante-post and non-runner no bet are 2 options that most major bookmakers put out at this time of year. Non-runner no bet means you get a shorter price usually, but if the horse doesn't run in the race, you get your money back. Ante-post means you get a little bit of a better price, but if the horse doesn't run, you lose your money. What I'm about here is ante-post. I don't do very much in the non-runner no-bet market, because the ante-post market gives you a better price, and I would much rather risk it on a better price, often is the case, than I would take the shorter price and have a little bit of safety on it. So that's where I'm at. So I'm going to go through each race as I can. So I've kind of got the odd couple of notes to keep me right, because there's 10 races to go through, and most of it's up here, but not all of it. So just run down number 10. I'm doing the Supreme, the Arkle, the National Hunt Chase, the Ballymore, the Brown Advisory, the Bumper, Turner Novice, Mares Novice, Triumph Hurdle, and Albert Bartlett. That's what we're covering in this video. But I'll go through them at a fairly brisk pace. I'm not going to stop and talk about each one for 5 minutes. And I'm not going to mention that many horses in each one. So I've written down a few that I'm going to go through. All right, so starting on Tuesday, we've got 3 races that we're going to cover on Tuesday. First off is the Supreme, to kick off the Cheltenham Festival. From an ante-post point of view, not too keen at all. I think the market is very open at the top. I don't think there's a very obvious favourite, because there's a few bits of conflicting form. So I think the top sort of half a dozen are probably in the right sort of ballpark. So I'm not going to come on and give you any sort of kind of each way value in there. Of the ones at the top, given how it ran at Leopardstown, I think I've got, just to flag to you, I've got a lot of French names. So normally on these videos I struggle with the Gaelic names. My French is going to have a right workout on this one. Il ante-post. At the moment, that would be the one that would edge it. I think on form of Leopardstown on that race, hands down, I think that's the best piece of form going into the race. But others have run better in other races and underperformed in that race and vice versa. So I think it's the best one at a price for a race like that. But you wouldn't want to be going big on it at the moment. It's around about the 5-1 mark. So that's the Supreme. That's literally what I'm going to talk about in the Supreme. Arkle, as advertised, I'm not going to give you a debate between El Fabio and John Bon. I don't think there's much between them. On prices right now, I'd take John Bon over El Fabio. But if they were kind of even price, I don't know really how you would split them. John Bon was a big tip for me for ante-post after the last Cheltenham Festival for the Turners, and I really wished it stepped up in distance, but very much going to run in the Arkle. My ante-post bet from a year ago has gone down on John Bon. But I'd like to see John Bon win. But there you go. From an ante-post point of view, the value is St. Roy, and I've talked about this on one of my freebets.com video. St. Roy is absolutely the value. It's the forgotten horse. It unseated at Leopardstown. The horse carried on running, jumped all the jumps, and actually finished first past the post. You can't judge it on that. But I actually think if you look at it, was a high class hurdler, and I think it still hasn't shown its best on a chase course. And yeah, it's been at Cheltenham before, knows what it's about, and I just think it's very much overlooked. So when I get to the conclusions, it is going to be in there, heads up. But particularly there's some decent prices knocking about for St. Roy. So that's the Arkle. National Hunt Chase, Galard de Mesnil, I think. To me that's the right favourite. So then you're looking at a bit of value because it's less than 2-1. So it's not worth having a bet at this stage. So where do we go? I quite like City Chief. I think it's fourth favourite in the market in most places at the moment. I'd have that competing to be second best behind Galard de Mesnil. So it's about what kind of price you can get, and not across the board, but I think there's some prices worth having a look at with City Chief in there. It's done nothing wrong. It's a progressive horse as you would get in that kind of race. You never quite know because they're going over a little bit further in the National Hunt Chase than what most of them have done before. There's only one in there. I think Ramesses is the one that's most experienced over longer distances. But yeah, I think City Chief is the value play right now in the National Hunt Chase. As to when we get to it, I kind of think it's going to be a single figure horse, but you can get double figure in places. That is Tuesday. Now we're going on to Wednesday. Wednesday list, Ballymore. I'm in the Hermes Allen camp. I think that's the right favourite. I know others will disagree. I think it's the right favourite. Would I back it now ante-post at 9-4? No, I wouldn't. I think it's probably the right favourite. In the Pocket is a horse I've mentioned on one of my freebets.com videos. There's a right debate on that one. It's about what kind of distance because it went over 2 miles last time. It done 2.5 before. I think 2 miles 5 on the Ballymore's okay for it. But there's a question about whether that's going to run in the Supreme or not. I think it's an interesting bet, but I don't necessarily think it's going to go massively shorter than what it is, even if it turns up. So we'll see on that one. The other one I was going to mention, the Ballymore, was Dawn Rising. That one's got a couple of entries, and you can get 66-1 currently ante-post with Sky Bet. It's not gonna. I'm not gonna do kind of any massive prices at the end of this one. So there's a few on here that I'm mentioning, but I'm mentioning them because I'm sort of, I guess I'm dropping breadcrumbs to say if we actually get to Cheltenham and you see that one as a big price and maybe we're getting an extra odd place or something, then I might be having a little look. But right now, I wouldn't be taking it ante-post, but 66-1 is far too big for that horse. Given what could or should or would might go in that race, and then given the fact it's got other entries, it's too risky for me to do that. But 66 is a nice price. So that is the Ballymore Brown Advisory. It's a really open race. It looks like at the top of the market, but I like Time Hill. I think it's proven over that kind of distance. It's proven at Cheltenham. So it's a 3 miler through and through. it looks like it's just as good over chasers, and I think yeah, it's the one to me that I think slightly overlooked because basically because it's not Irish, I think. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable price for a horse at the moment like that. There's one I particularly like at a price in that one, which is let me get this right, Gallia de Lito. So it's a Skelton horse, and he's not got many going into this. Championship races wise, there's not going to be a lot. He's probably going to have a few handicap plots in there, but I think of championship races, that one is looks like it's got a lot of potential, and there's some definitely value ante-post in that. I'm surprised at some of the ante-posts. When I started having a look around, I was quite surprised, and I'll get to it at the end about what I found with that one. So we'll come back to that. And the other one I was going to mention is Idas Boy, which you can get 66s in places, and a bit like Dawn Rising, got multiple entries, might not run. If they were paying an extra couple of places, so we get to Ballymore Day, and we're finding we're paying 4th, 5th places. Idas Boy is probably something I would have a look at if it turns up on that one. Then we've got Bumper. Now the Champion Bumper is normally a race I'd just go, nah, not for me, ante-post, wouldn't touch it. But I found one from a win bet point of view that I think is great. A Dream to Share. I can't believe it's not favourite. I think it's got the best form of anything in there. JP McManus bought it last week, so it's going to be running in his colours. It's staying with the same trainer. It is a smaller trainer, but he's got previous, and he's trained McManus horses before, and yeah, clearly McManus wanted it, and he's all about the prestige. And yeah, A Dream to Share to me should be the favourite for the Champion Bumper, and I can't see why it's not. So that was an interesting one in the Champion Bumper. Then we're going to go Turner Novice. Mighty Porter, I think, is probably going to be favourite, and I think it'll run in that race, but I wouldn't want to back it ante-post. So the only other one I'd mention in there, and it's a risky one, is James de Burleigh. Much touted as a something special horse, but it's a hero or zero horse. So I'm not putting it out here at the end of my conclusions, but I want to give it a mention. Because I think it could, if it turns up in any race at Cheltenham, I wouldn't be surprised if it suddenly runs a big race. But yeah, not in the final conclusions. Then I've got the Mare's Novice. Mare's Novice, one horse to mention on that one, Harmonia Maker, and flag on this one depending on when you're watching this. It's due to run at Punchestown on the 19th of February. Sunday the 19th is due to run there. It's the only one I'm mentioning that's running in the next week at the moment. It's favourite for a listed hurdle race there. Absolutely should be streets ahead of the rest of the field in there, but there's about 8, 9, 10 runners, something like that. So yeah, it's probably worth backing it. It's worth backing at the weekend, I think, to be fair. Even you can get around 2 to 1 on it, it's worth it. But yeah, for the Mare's Novice, the tricky thing is it's stepping up in that Punchestown race up to 2 mile 5. The Mare's Novice is a little bit over 2 miles. I think it looks like quite a versatile horse. There's a question mark though whether it will run in the Mare's Novice. If it runs well at Punchestown, whether they might look at something like the Albert Bartlett for it. That normally is quite an open race. I would prefer it to go in the Mare's Novice, but they may decide it's a bit too short. But yeah, I quite like the look of it, the value from a value perspective. And then we've got the Triumph Hurdle, not touching, 0. So normally I'd say Triumph and Champion Bumper, not for me. Triumph is definitely not for me. More juvenile horses, least experienced, and from a value perspective, there's not much to go on. I wouldn't touch that ante-post. I would wait till we get to Cheltenham Week. We can have a look at where the market's at with the Triumph. And then we're going to finish with the Albert Bartlett. 2 to mention here. Got another French name, hang on. Favori de Champdou. Yeah, I can't believe a horse is double figures. I would put it up there with favouritism in that Albert Bartlett. It often is an open contest, and you often get some interesting prices getting placed in that race. But yeah, that's the one I might like most. And let's be clear about it, is another one I wanted to give a mention. All right, I have cantered, deliberate pun, through all of those. And the bit that you really care about is, now I've given you all that kind of preamble and you've heard me chunter on about things, what am I going to put up as my conclusions? Because this is what I judge my video by. I'm not here like naming 23 horses and then I'll go, didn't I do well? It's the ones at the end, and I've got 8. 8 to put up at the end here. So go in here. So we've got here, this is the best of the novices win bets. So when I did the previous video for championship races, I did ante-post and non-runner no bet ones, all each ways. These are specifically win bets, specifically ante-post. So the supreme best price I can see is 5 to 1 Betfair and 365 ante-post. 9 to 2 in most places, but yeah, I think that horse should be shorter than that. There's not much value in it in terms of from a price point of view, but 5 to 1 with horse the form it's got, I'd say it should be shorter. Brown Advisory, I'm putting Time Hill up there in my 3. 11 to 2 is general price you can get for Time Hill, and then Champion Bumper specific flag. So this is my favoured one of the 3. 7 to 1 on Sky ante-post. Yeah, cracking price. Have a look round and make sure you're looking in the right place, because most of the bookmakers that price up non-runner no bet, they do it by default. They do it by default to give you the lower value. So you need to scroll down further along underneath where it says non-runner no bet, and underneath you'll find Cheltenham and ante-post, and there you will find a dream to share at 7 to 1. So yeah, those are my 3. So you know, I'd put my own money, I've put my own money down on from a win point of view. And for those of you who want to do a little bit of a combination bet, if you wanted to do them in a small stake Trixie, it's up to you. It's much riskier doing those sorts of things ante-post, because you've got a much greater chance of them not even turning up and going awry. But from a singles point of view, I think they're fine. And if you want to do a little Trixie, that's fine. And if you want to find a 4-force of your own to shove in there to make it a Yankee or do something shorter, that's fine. But they're my best value win bets in the novice division. And then the bit that most people are more interested in is my each way bets. This is my 5 I'm concluding with. And again, I'm putting these out there as single bets. I know some people would want to look at these from a, you know, oh, brilliant, Callum's put up 5 horses, maybe I'll shove them in a Canadian or a Lucky 31, whatever. I'll go through each one and I'll advise. If you were doing them as a job lot, when I've looked around, the best place on balance is 365. If you were doing job lot, 365 ante-post market. So yeah, if you were doing job lot. But what we got? Arkle, St. Roy, 33 to 1 I found. Sky 365 have gone 33 to 1 in the ante-post market. That's a brilliant price. 33s, I think that horse should be more like 14, 16 to 1 in terms of where it should be. And I think it's got potential to be better than that. But 33s on 365 is a great price. National Hunt Chase, best price, Sky, 11 to 1. That's a great price. You pretty much across the board, you're looking at 8 to 1 on that horse. 11 to 1 on Sky is a cracker. Then, my best price in terms of, I know it's not the biggest as that one, but I think value point of view, Brown Advisory, Sky of 28. 20s is what you can get in most places. 28 ante-post market for Gallia de Letou in the Brown Advisory. I think that's a really, really lovely price, that horse. 28s. Mares Novice, as I said, running at Punchestown. Harmony Maker, 16 to 1 best price. Betfair 365 ante-post market is what I found. And then Albert Bartlett, Favori de Champdou, 12 to, it's all with the French names. Favori de Champdou, 12 to 1 best price, 365. They're my 5 in the novice division to have a go at ante-post in the singles market. But yeah, can't say it enough. I'm looking at these as ante-post. If you want to go safer and do non-runner no bet, it's up to you. But I'm saying the value is in the ante-post market for these. And that is where it is. So entirely up to you what you do with that. Whether you're just watching out of interest, curiosity, you're actually going to back them. Don't mind. I put my own money on them. They're not recorded in the channel stakes. So last year, every single one of my videos, if you'd done them all, the anti-post ones, if you'd done everything as a single even stake, you'd have come out and profit on every single anti-post video. I can't make any guarantees, clearly, can I, about that. I'm not recording the statistics. This is just me putting them out there, but I have put my own money down on those. But yeah, it just gets a bit complicated recording anti-post bets from a statistical point of view on the channel. So they're out there as on their own in the ether. But yeah, I think it's starting to get interesting in the anti-post market. The more I'm looking at it, and the next phase is the handicap races. So that'll be once declarations are out in the next week or two. So well, about 2 weeks maybe. I can't remember the precise date. that's when I'm going to start to look at it, because you can look at the handicap races now, but you are sticking your finger about which horses are actually going to turn up, because there's no official declarations have been made yet. So yeah, handicap race vid is due out beginning of March. So last year, that's when about I did it. So once we've got declarations and the markets have formed a little bit better, then I'll be looking at that. But I wouldn't advise people spending hours looking at handicap races now. Wait till the declarations are made and then start trawling through it if that's what you're into. All right, that is me. I hope you enjoyed video number 2 of the ante-post series. And I shall see you all in a few weeks' time if you're only here for ante-post 3. Otherwise, join me on my regular videos on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evenings and Saturday and Sunday mornings. That is my 5-day-a-week regular schedule where I put out value-based multiple bets mostly. So it's mostly multiples is what I'm doing. All right. Thank you very much. See you on the other side. Ta-ra for now.